All right, you guys, I'm also going to talk to you guys today about two very basic knife skills, but the ones that I think are maybe the most important. They both involve cutting an onion, and knowing how to do these will save you a lot of time and headache when you're preparing a dish. So today I'm going to talk about dicing an onion and slicing an onion, and kind of the components that make up an onion and why it's important to keep them distinct. So obviously we have the skin and the top of the onion. I'm just going to remove that. This part for me is trash. If you want, you can cut a little bit closer to the top and waste a little bit less onion, but I'm not going to worry about that today. If you ever see the instructions cut an onion in half, it is always through the root. Unless you're cutting onion rings, you will almost never cut your onion this way when it's whole. So, cut your onion in half and leave the root on, and then we're just going to peel our onion. So there's a couple reasons you always cut through the onion this direction. First off, when you're dicing, you want to leave the root on your onion. That's really going to stop some of the liquid from coming out of the onion, which is what causes you to cry. And it's also going to hold the onion together while you're dicing it, which is really going to help you keep a more consistent, even dice. So we'll start by slicing. The first step for me is always cutting from the already cut side down to the root. So you can do that by just starting at the top and slicing. You want to make sure to hold the onion down. Something you really want to pay attention to is how dense your onion is. If it's super dense, it's actually going to be tougher to cut towards the root, but we still want to make sure to get as close to the root as possible, but being careful not to cut ourselves. So next, we're just gonna cut this direction, again towards the root, but we wanna leave the root intact. All right, so we've left the root attached, and we can do our final and third step, which is just finishing dicing the onion. So from here, your onion is nice and diced, and basically the smaller dice you want, the closer together you'll put your second slices. That's an easy diced onion, and that's gonna be the easiest way for you to dice this quickly. Again, leaving the root intact. If you have a little bit of root left, just chop off the last little bits. The next thing we're going to work on is slicing the onion. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is people slicing the onion this way. That is technically not an onion slice, and it's going to leave you with big, weird chunks, and it's also going to spray more liquid, which is going to cause you to cry more easily. So for this one, though, we are going to take off the root because we will be cutting long ways. And so this is what is known as a julienne, and this is how you julienne an onion. Basically, have your hand on top of the onion, fingertips curled in, so that the knife can touch your knuckles. Keeping the knife against your knuckle is going to prevent you from cutting yourself. The second you leave your knuckle, the second you can start to come down on top of your hand, or if it leaves your knuckle, you're going to end up putting your fingertips out, which is going to be how you cut your fingers. So again, knife against the knuckle, and then just a nice quick slice. I've gotten about halfway through. I'm just gonna rotate my onion instead of trying to go down along the rest of the curve. And just repeat the process. When you're doing this, you want to make sure that though your thumb is staying in place, you're not feeding it past your fingers. Otherwise, even though you have your knife against your knuckles, your thumb is still poking out and you can cut yourself. So always keep that thumb underneath your fingers. Those are basic dice and slice of an onion.